All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Career Lab Wednesday. I am your host, George Miller, and I am here almost every week to help you develop yourself in your career. And the primary way that people develop themselves in their career is through developing their emotional intelligence, essentially becoming better communicators. Of course, learning skill sets is important, but over time, what is even more important is relationships, is knowing how to communicate, knowing how to be trustworthy, knowing how to get yourself across and being understood and understanding other people. So this is such a key skill in your career that I love working with people on this, helping them refine how they talk about themselves and refine the relationships they have. So I'll be getting into a topic in a little bit here, but I want to set up everybody who is joining in. There's a few ways that you can engage with me. I love it, of course, when you jump in directly on Zoom. Sometimes we have people do that. It's fantastic. But I want to warn you, it's being live streamed. So if you want to remain anonymous, totally get it. It's totally fine. So there's a few other ways that you can engage too. I I like it when you type your questions into the comment section. That's another way you can get your questions across to me. I can engage with you that way. So as I'm sharing, if something comes up, you've got a question about anything from your resume to interviewing to managing to developing relationships with clients, whatever it is, even if you've got questions about your purpose in your career, type your questions into the comment section and I will do my best to answer those questions. And put them in at any point in time. I love getting things in from left field. I love the challenge of engaging and having things come in that are exciting to me. I'm a creative person, and when making art and music and that kind of thing, the mistakes are what really interest me, or the little things I didn't expect. So I love it when you give me stuff that I'm not expecting. So again, you can jump in directly on Zoom if you want to work one-to-one with me in that way, or you can type your questions into the comment section and I will do my best to address you that way. All right. So I am excited about the topic that we've got teed up today because it's what I work on with people is essentially friending fear, is being increasingly conscious while feeling more of myself. So we all had ways that we learned to suppress our feelings, and it made sense for our environment growing up. But the suppressing of those feelings came at a price. That price is essentially a sense of self. That's another way of saying it. A limiting belief. You know, every time that I would say, "Oh, George, don't feel that," you know, you shouldn't feel afraid right now, or you shouldn't feel irritated, or any kind of time that that happened growing up, I would then kind of have a limiting belief about myself. Oh, see, you're too much. See, you saying what you wanted there, you upset somebody, and that means you're too much, or it means you don't really matter. And so that just happens. It's part of being human. Is we get these limiting beliefs, we create those about ourselves as a way of navigating the world. So that is okay in some sense. But if I'm going to become who I can become, if I'm going to become a better communicator, if I'm going to make the kind of impact that I want to make in the world, it is important to address this stuff. It's important to look at the barriers, the blocks that I have created for myself. It's important to be aware of that so that I can remove that and I can have more open communication. I can go for more of what I want. And so, as anybody who's joined in here before at this point knows, I love jumping in ice water. But I not just because of the epinephrine and endorphin and testosterone that flood my body when I do that. I like it for that, but it also helps me face fears, be with fear, and practice that. So my whole body is getting trained every time to stay with some anxiety a little longer. It makes it easier than when I'm in a coaching session and a client is bringing in a challenging subject and I'm wanting to revert to advice giving or behaviors that don't really support them to empower themselves and come up with creative solutions. So I revisit the ice water, so to speak, internally. And I'm like, okay, just stay with the discomfort. Stay with my anxiety. And I'm inviting the other person to be with their anxiety and to challenge their way of thinking so that they are emerging into who they want to be. So that's a lot of what I do day to day while I'm meeting with people. So I want you thinking about that. Like, where in your life, where are the conversations that are really important to you and that you would like to do differently? That you could see that you could create a different outcome if you were to be more conscious and present in those conversations. Maybe you have a work meeting coming up, and for a lot of people, they will say things like, "Oh, I hate the meetings that I go into. I wish, you know, we could just get more work done, and it seems like these don't really go anywhere." That's something that people have told me over the years. And what I challenge you on, if that's you, is okay, notice that you're feeling irritated. There's that sense of, oh, like, why am I even here? Okay, that's data. That's really good data. There's an irritation. Okay, now let's look underneath that. What's causing the irritation? Is okay, so I've got these other things I need to do and I can't do them because I'm in this meeting. Okay, cool. So you're wanting to be more effective, more productive. Got it. Now, what else might you be feeling if if you were going to make that meeting worth your time and have it be so that whatever the tasks are that you're so eager to get to, that you would be more effective in those tasks and that you could get things done faster, then what would you need to say in that meeting? What questions would you need to ask? And see if you can see where I'm going with this is to help you be more and more responsible, able to respond in whatever environment you're in. And so we started with irritation in the meeting of like, oh, what am I doing here? But now if you look at it as a place where you can practice and you can empower yourself and you can develop leadership skills that are ultimately going to help you do your job better and help you become more of who you want to become, then it gets interesting. And now it's like you're moving from, if we're going to take the analogy of a basketball court, I watch basketball, so you're moving from the stands and into the game, from being an observer that has judgments and things about what's happening, that and maybe you're kind of zoning out sometimes. Now you're moving into the game, and that will mean that you will feel more anxiety, most likely, because now you're going to speak up, you're going to ask questions, you're going to have, that's going to have an impact in that meeting. You might ask a question that seems to be from that other people don't have, and they're like, why is this person asking a question? Oop. So that might be awkward. You might be making a mistake, or you might find, oh my God, I asked that question and a lot of people seem to respond to that. And some other people ask questions. We kind of built on that. And whoa. Oh, and now I'm finding that there's another responsibility that I'm picking up because I brought that in. So I had concerns about this thing, and now I need to go talk to this person that I didn't. So it starts to open up to more things. And the more effective you become, the more responsibilities will come your way. So that it is a price you pay. But if you want to be developing, then that is the price you'll pay. You want to increase your ability to respond. So you start this practicing in meetings, asking questions, speaking up. Okay, so that's one way that I want you looking at how you can improve your communication. And on the topic of breaking through, breaking the ice, and confronting the fears. So there's that bit of a bump in so many areas in our life. For me, when I am first taking the steps into the ice water and I'm getting that shock, okay, that's aliveness. That's bringing me increasingly present to that moment. And it's my choice about how conscious I can stay there. I have my first time going into ice water, I left. I was not very conscious. And the person taking me in called me back and was like, hey, stay here, stay conscious. So that's a choice, and it helps. It helps me in the ice water because I'm more conscious. I can be more aware of the any dangers and that kind of thing. And in life, in the conversations that I'm having, it helps for me to be with that anxiety, to be with a bit of the shock of it. Because there's a lot of data there. If I'm feeling anxious speaking up in a meeting, that's great to know. What am I anxious about? If I'm afraid of that the question I'm asking is going to make people uncomfortable, or that's really good data. That's important to know. And then I start to find out, oh, what I just asked didn't throw anybody off. In fact, it got more people engaged. Oh, I'm getting positive attention. Oh, this is different than how it was in my family or in school. In a lot of schools, like I remember back for many years, for me, like the goal was just sit in a desk and ask questions that make the teacher look smart and just help drive that agenda. And what I'm really thinking or feeling doesn't have much to do with this environment. So, there was, I had some teachers in classrooms where that was what it was like. And it wasn't that conscious of a time or a process. Then I have other teachers that were really engaging and actually encouraged me to think. And so, I'm saying that point because there is a fair amount of time of my life where I was just sort of trained to be zoned out. And so, okay, I'm working with that now, and I can choose to have that be different. I can take more meaningful risks in conversations with other people to light things up, to spark creativity. And so the game is to confront and be with that fear, and to help use it to guide me into deeper connections with other people. All right, so that's today's topic. Being with the shock, the fear, not thinking that there's anything bad about that, but recognizing that part of my life, part of me engaging successfully with other people is going to mean that discomfort. And how do I leverage that? How do I perhaps even begin to enjoy the discomfort? So as I'm sharing this, I want to remind everybody, if you're listening in, if you're on LinkedIn Live or on YouTube, go ahead and type any questions that you have. Now, they don't have to be on this topic. I'll probably tie them back to this topic because that's my expertise, but you can ask anything in your career that if you are curious if you're in the right spot. I spoke with somebody yesterday who was unsure of how to communicate themselves effectively in their job search. So they have such a diverse background. They've got a lot of gifts and talents. And what we talked about that actually got them more clear was that they can own their process, that they don't have to be trying to say to everybody, oh, see, I'm good at this, 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 that it actually helps them and the people who are interviewing them to say, here are my skills, here's the skills I'm wanting to develop, and it looks like this role in your organization aligns pretty well with that. I think I'm understanding the need that you have here. I think I can satisfy that need. And I think I can be developing the things that I care about in myself in this role. Whoa. Yeah. So you get to do that with people. And that takes some process. That often takes a coach or a mentor or somebody helping you define yourself in that way, to be able to communicate clearly to other people what it is that you bring and what you want from them. So again, any questions that you have career related, whether it's your resume, the interview process, or helping you understand more of your purpose, what's important to you, any questions, go ahead and throw them into the comment section. I'll do my best to address those questions and work with you there. Okay. Cool. I'm getting a question about relationship with the manager. Okay. So you're wanting to know, it doesn't sound like your manager is understanding. Oh, so you're asking things from your manager and they are not giving you what you're asking for. Okay. So it sounds like you're not clear on what the role is exactly or what the expectations are. Can you tell me more about what you're asking? Okay. So you're wanting your manager to, oh, okay. So you've got in somebody working for you on your staff that you've got a challenge with, and you're wanting your manager to back you up in that challenge. And okay. And they're not getting, okay, so you essentially want this person gone and they're not helping with that. Huh. So for everybody who's listening in, I'm going to address this question and let me know if what I'm sharing is on track with your question. So if I'm starting to go in one direction and you're like, no, George, that's not helping me, I actually want you to go here, type that into the comment section and let me know, get me back on course with what you're wanting. And for everybody who's listening in, think about how this applies to you. So you might not have this exact situation in your job, but my guess is that there are times where you want somebody to implement something for you, and you want to partner with somebody, and they're not really partnering with you. And so let's take a look at that. Okay, so I got a question for you. I'm just going to call you M. So M, question for you is, it's sounding like your manager is not um, running this through HR the way that you want them to. And have you talked with your manager directly about this? Have you said, hey, here's what I want? And okay, so they have, so they're okay, so they're essentially telling you that, look, M, I understand that you don't want this person on your team, but I'm unwilling to, we need the help, and I don't want to bring somebody through this process again, and I don't want to let go of this person. So I'm okay. So I think the communication is that they want you to be more effective in training people. Is that fair? Okay, so you don't, yeah, you're up and you don't necessarily want to train this person and you have issues with it, but that's what I'm getting the expectation is for you. Okay, so you're essentially being told you need to be a better leader. Okay. So what do you feel when we get it kind of clear that way, that you're getting feedback that you need to develop leadership skills to have new hires be more successful on your team? What do you feel? Fear, you know, it can really help to go with fear, hurt, anger, sadness, and joy to help bottom line things. Okay, so you're feeling irritated about that. Yep, so that's anger. Oh, and you're feeling some hurt about it, like your manager doesn't really have your back. And like they, okay. Now, oh, that's interesting though. So if, what are the limiting beliefs that might be coming up? Because it's like, oh, my manager doesn't have my back. So they, okay, so you don't really matter in this, and it's just about a process, and just about, it's not about you as a person. Okay, well, I'd like to offer a different perspective. What if your manager sees you as more capable? They're setting an expectation for you to be a better leader. And that's part of, I imagine, why you're listening in today. Yeah. Okay. So what would it take for you to improve onboarding somebody? How would you do this if you could go back in time and look at, you know, mistakes that you might have made with this person? How would you do it differently next time? See, this is, and thank you for that question, because this is an important thing. A lot of us, I certainly, what my habit is that when something's not going well for me, I just criticize myself without the intention to learn from that criticism. So it's just sort of like, oh, see, I don't matter, I'm not enough, blah 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 blah. But like, and that just kind of is a story that I can keep running. And oh, see, things are hopeless here, and my manager doesn't understand me, and you know, and I can kind of go into this downward spiral of stuff that's not really helpful, and is actually kind of beneath me, or certainly beneath the leader that I want to be becoming. Okay. So now as you're with that and with the feedback to develop your leadership skills so that you can more successfully onboard people, what would you do differently? I'm gonna take a guess here. I most it is so common that expectations are not communicated clearly up front. Now that's something I'm working on all the time. I mean, in every new client that I work with, I am improving how we set expectations, how I set expectations for my client, and helping them verbalize expectations that they have for coaching. So that is a skill that I imagine you could develop. So when you're onboarding somebody, how would you, if you could go back in time, how would you set expectations clearer earlier on? Okay. So you're saying that maybe you were too nice in the beginning. And I'm gonna make another guess here. My guess is that you're so hungry for, you want the help so much that you are kind of over eager as somebody is coming on, and and so you're not kind of setting the bar as high as you actually want it to be. Like to put it simply, you're being too nice at the beginning. So if you just set the expectation, then it's clearer for them to know what their job is, and it's easier then for you to say, here's what the expectation is. How do you think you're doing at meeting that? And see, then you're inviting them into thinking critically and working it through. And I suspect what happens is that you end up doing a lot more managing than you want to. And then they're not feeling empowered, and they're like, oh, this person's all over me. Yeah. Okay. So now look at this. Now, isn't it interesting? So we started off with you and your manager, and you wanting to try to convince your manager of something. As we're talking about it, we're looking at the feedback that your manager is giving you, and that you're not gonna, if you get good at this, at onboarding somebody, then you could actually look at your manager as somebody who's helping and supporting you. Maybe they didn't set as clear of expectations up front, but that doesn't mean that you get to continue the process. You can see that as an issue, and you can learn how to set expectations clearer. Okay. Okay, good. Thanks for letting me know that this is helpful. Uh-huh. Okay, so I just practice with this, and again, notice that feeling of fear as you're picturing yourself now. You've got a new hire, and you're setting the expectation. You're saying, I want a lot. I'm a demanding person. and I imagine you're feeling fear because that hasn't been the way that you would do it. You used to say, you would communicate to somebody, oh, I'm so glad you're here, I need your help a lot, let's get you going. And yes, and it's kind of like you're not really being as clear as you could be, and that fear that you have of being liked or not liked or whatever, that kind of stuff is instead of being with that fear, you kind of try to escape from it, and you end up not saying the things that you'd really want to say. And my hunch is speaking too much and just like running through everything and like, here, you're going to do this and this, and not really being in touch with the person and seeing if they're really understanding. Okay, so it's actually going to require you to be more present with those anxieties when you're first starting with somebody, and you saying, I've got high expectations, how are you going to meet them? And that's probably going to um, change your internal dialogue some about you mattering or you being too much or not good enough, that kind of thing. Okay, so play around with this and let me know. Great, I'm getting some more questions here. If you need to, if you want to, go ahead and set up a one-on-one with me. I'm happy to talk 15-20 minutes. That's, not live. And go ahead and set up a time with me. You can use my calendar link and I can help you there, sometimes just get you on track. And if this is a bigger challenge, if this is an ongoing thing that you want to work on, if you really want to dig in and develop your emotional intelligence skills, we can look at what a coaching relationship would be. So welcome to set up a time with me. I love meeting with people and helping you develop your emotional intelligence, your communication skills to be more of the person that you want to be in your life. So set up a chat with me. Cool. Let me look at this. We're getting some more questions here. During my interviews, I have a difficult time conveying my story and relating it to the new role in industry. I also find myself speaking quickly when answering questions due to nervousness, which I am aware translates to lack of confidence. How to have potential employers to remember me after the interview? This is great question. So again, for everybody listening in, you want to relate this to you. So you might be in a job right now, you might not be interviewing at the moment, but I want you to consider that in every meeting you're interviewing, in every meeting you're communicating yourself, you're learning to communicate yourself more effectively. In every meeting you are taking meaningful risks and being more present with your fears and anxieties. Okay, so to start off with, for this one, during your interviews, struggling to share your story, relating it to the new role in the industry, and knowing that you speak quickly because you're nervous. One of the things that you can do is literally practice. Like, we all have iPhones, we all have Zoom on our computers, or we have some way that we can record ourselves. So go through and practice with a recording. Then you can also practice with friends. You can also practice with a coach. A lot of people start that way with me, doing a mock interview, where you are practicing answering questions and slowing yourself down. Because that is the number one mistake people make in interviewing, is talking too much. So you're nervous, and it makes sense. Of course you're nervous. You want the job. You want a job. But we want to get more refined with that nervousness. We want to use the nervousness to help us discern. So, do you want a job that's not a good fit for you and that you hate? No. So that is an anxiety. That's something to be nervous about. That's a healthy fear to have. So then there's the fear of, oh, am I communicating this clearly? Am I really in rapport and in a relationship with the person talking to me? That's a healthy anxiety. And then I can take a meaningful risk using that kind of anxiety and say, I understand this is the role, and these are the things I've done in the past that qualify me for this. And I want to make sure that we're on the same page. I'm imagining that you're going to need help with this, this, and this. Is that accurate? So now you're using that nervousness that you have to actually build the relationship. So you're going to practice turning the question back, putting questions to them that really help you understand the role better. Because it sounds like what you've done in the past that isn't helpful is you speak quickly. And what you're communicating when you speak quickly and you're trying not to take up space is, I don't matter. I'm not really important. You can overlook me. And as I say that, if that lands and that hurts, good. Be with that pain. Yeah. See, this is what emotional intelligence really is actually being with the feelings. So if I say something that hurts, that's good. I want you to notice that it hurts and to have that settle in a little bit. Say, wow, there's a lot of ways that I communicate to people, yeah, don't pay attention to me. There's a lot of ways I kind of don't think I matter, and I communicate that. Dang, that hurts. See, and once I admit the hurt, once I admit the embarrassment or the pain point or whatever, and I'm willing to be present with myself in that discomfort, now I have leverage with it. See, now I'm acknowledging that that's a painful way to exist. And I have more incentive to say, oh man, I'm going to prepare for my next interview in a new way, where I'm friending my fears and I'm using them to guide me, and where I'm in touch with the pain points. And I'm going to prepare, and I'm going to get more confident in asking questions that really help me understand this role. I'm going to get better at doing this, because when I don't do this, I keep doing the same things again and again, and I just keep staying in that same kind of pain, that same suffering. And yeah, I might kind of numb myself out to it. I might go into an interview and do the same things and not feel satisfied, and then go get a coffee with lots of sugar and some kind of a drink and kind of numb out, and like, that is a way of being that I'm familiar with, and I could do that. But no, I'm going to pay the price, and I'm going to feel the hurt of, whoa, man, I've dismissed myself often in communicating with other people, and that hurts. And when I act like I don't matter, then I'm kind of telling people I don't matter, and they don't notice me and they don't pay attention to me. And then I'm gone to them. And ow, that hurts. And wow, just by me acknowledging the hurt, I'm now mattering more. Because, I mean, if I wasn't feeling some hurt, then, I mean, if I'm feeling hurt, it must mean I kind of matter, right? It must mean that I exist and that there's more to me. Because otherwise, I wouldn't feel that pain. I'm hoping this is helpful. Okay, good. So you're with me on this. Yeah. And this is so important in anywhere in your career, whether you're interacting with people on teams or with clients, potential clients, if you're in sales and you're putting yourself out there, like, you're going to get hurt a lot. You're going to feel that discomfort a lot. And it's your choice whether you learn from it and have that discomfort, have those hurt feelings and those fears, whether they're helping you grow and develop, or whether you numb out from them and try to avoid yourself. Totally your choice. But this is the heart of emotional intelligence. This is the heart of what I'm talking about is the more you know yourself, the more you are present, able to be present with your feelings, the more you will be present with others, the more social intelligence you'll have. And social and emotional intelligence is the most important thing in your career and honestly in your life. It's not just in career, your relationships with your friends and families, the better that you can communicate who you are, what really matters to you, the more satisfied you're going to be. That's one of the top 3 deathbed regrets is, God, I wish people had really known how I felt. I wish people really knew me. So this thing that you brought up about interviewing and being nervous and not really communicating yourself in a way where you're known. I mean, this is a skill for you to develop, to really know yourself so that you can be known by other people at work and in your life overall. So cool. I love that question. That was great. So we're coming up on the end of the hour here. I again welcome anybody to throw in any questions that you have. Thank you to the 2 people so far who've put in questions. We had M working on being a better leader, onboarding people better, instead of making her manager wrong for not doing things the exact way she wanted. Her manager is like, look, I want you to be able to train people up better. Maybe her manager didn't communicate it that well. I don't know. But M, you have the ability to do something different and to put your expectations out early and to be communicating clearly with somebody who you're onboarding and saying, hey, here's my expectation. How you doing at meeting it? Instead of, I imagine, talking too much and doing their job for them in certain instances and essentially training them that they're not really needed there, which goes against what you want. You need them. And then we've got about interviewing and, speaking too quickly out of nervousness. And so now we have you, instead of speaking too quickly out of nervousness, we have you allowing yourself to be more nervous, to feel more of that fear flood through your body as you speak slower. Because oftentimes, I suspect the speaking fast is a way you try to get away from yourself, a way you try to get away from the discomfort. But practice being with the discomfort. Practice going into the interviews and allowing silence to happen. allowing deeper breaths to happen, choosing to trust yourself that you will communicate what you need to communicate, and choosing to trust yourself that you will ask important, intelligent questions. That's another big thing in interviewing is your ignorance is a gift. What do I mean by that? All kinds of things are not working at companies. Companies are always trying to develop. And they get a set culture, and then they know they need help. They bring somebody in, and what you don't understand about how the company works is important. So the questions that you ask, like, oh, I noticed that we're doing it that way. In the manual, it said to do it this way. What am I missing? Whoa. Right there, that can highlight oh, you know what? That manual isn't really accurate and it wasn't updated for some new things that happened. Great question. No, yeah, we're going to make sure to shadow this person to really understand. That manual is just a bit of a guide, like that kind of thing. Or it's oh, you know what? No, that manual is put in place and we're trying to make an adjustment to a consulting that we brought in to help us go in this direction, and our culture is we're still trying to meet that. So thanks for asking that question. That highlights that this is an area where our employees need to develop more and need to follow procedures to get the outcomes that we want. Great question. So you can see right there the ways that your ignorance is a gift. And so often we jump to conclusions and say, oh, this is how things are here. And oh, now I need to act this way. When if I were to say, you know what, I don't actually know how things are here, and something doesn't seem quite right, and I'm going to ask a question about it, that is vulnerable. It's risky. I'll feel a little bit of fear doing it. But oh, I do that, and then I find out more about what's actually happening here, what the culture really is, what that kind of thing. So I hope I hope that little bit there was helpful. So we're coming up to the end here. Again, if you want to meet with me one-to-one, set up a time. I'm happy to talk for 15-20 minutes over Zoom. And if you want more coaching, if a coaching relationship is something that would serve you in you becoming who you can become, then we can discuss that as well. So we've got that as a tool. And then for everybody who's listening in, if you want a helpful tool, check out Connect and Thrive. It's a video and a personality assessment that will help you understand yourself better and help you understand others better. So it's a quick 10-minute test. Go through, take it. We will look at the results. We compile those and we'll get them back to you. And there's a video that you can review that will help you understand other personality styles more and how to communicate with them, how you can shift some of the things that you do, some of the ways that you engage, whether you're going to be more clear and direct and setting clear expectations early on, or whether you're going to speak slower, or whether you're going to ask other people, how they're feeling. Whatever it is, you'll get some little tricks into how to communicate more effectively with other personality styles. Well, everybody, thank you so much. I know I for a long time I've been doing this every Wednesday. As my schedule is tightening up, I'll be here sometimes Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays, and maybe even sometimes on Mondays. So keep your eye out. I will be sharing which day of the week I'll be on each week. So just keep an eye on that. For everybody who's been joining in for a while now, thank you. Appreciate your support, appreciate your questions, and I will see you next week. Blessings, everybody. Take care.